I see the biker getting blamed for almost every crash in almost every police report. And some of the best verdicts we've had and some of the best settlements we've had have been when the police report is dead against us.
Do you know the 3 deadliest mistakes you can make while on a motorcycle? Well, we're going to find out, because that's what we're going to ask the lawyer today. Hi again, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com, and my guest is San Francisco attorney Claude Wyle. Claude, good to see you again. Thank you for making some time to help us out today.
Good to see you too, Rob, and I'm happy to help out, especially when it's time to help out bikers.
I know motorcycle riding is something near and dear to your heart, so remind us, what is your history with motorcycles? You've ridden for a while. Do you still ride? Tell us what's going on there.
Well, I've ridden since I was 13 years old, dirt bikes, obviously, at that time, because it wasn't legal to ride on the street at that age, although I have to admit to some riding before I got my license. And I'm a lifetime rider. My partner and I still ride today. And my best friends all ride. And if we're not on motorcycles, we're on bicycles. So we're firm believers in the 2-wheel lifestyle.
And you do some long rides too, don't you?
We like to travel on occasion. Yeah. I mostly travel throughout California. I've traveled into Nevada, but I haven't really gone on anything longer. Okay. My partner, George, he rides all the way up to Oregon, and he's maybe going to go up to Canada this year, but you never know. We've got a lot to see in California, so there's a lot of riding here.
Let's talk about the 3 deadliest things you can do, deadliest mistakes you can make that you've seen bikers make in your practice and your experience. So let's do, what's number 1?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that bikers have to follow the same rules that cars follow. So I'm not going to go into what every vehicle operator should be doing. Okay. I'm just going to go into things that are special for motorcyclists.
Great.
Number 1 would be failure to wear proper safety gear. You need a very good helmet. It should be DOT approved. If you're not wearing a DOT approved helmet, you're taking your life in your own hands, and it could be and is likely to be a deadly mistake, or you're going to suffer brain damage, and it's going to change your life and the life of your family. So number 1, wearing the right gear. Leather jacket, textile is good. Wear armor in your elbows, on your knees, on your hips. Leather pants, textile pants, and the right footwear. It may surprise you, or it may not, to know that many motorcyclists suffer foot and leg injuries. Oftentimes it's the foot or the leg that is first contacted. We've had many cases where people actually suffer traumatic amputation. Sometimes a very serious foot injury can be prevented by wearing the right foot gear. I ride with race boots, even when I'm going down to get a cup of coffee and meet my buddies down at the local cafe. So helmet, the right jacket, textile or leather, proper armor inside, textile or leather jacket, and proper pants, and of course, boots. Gloves, of course, you wouldn't ride without gloves. If you do, you're taking a chance there as well.
Let's talk really quickly about helmets, Claude. So to make sure it's approved, is that as simple as there's a sticker on it?
Well, there should be a sticker on it if it's DOT approved, or Snell. Sometimes people put their own stickers on there, which is not the smartest thing to do. They do that so they can get by the police officers who are looking to see if there is a sticker on the back of the helmet. You really want the helmet with the adequate padding, adequate toughness on the outside, the thick shell. You want that to be strong enough, and you want it to be able to stay on. Staying on is a very big part. The clips that hold on some of the non-DOT approved helmets are really inferior, and sometimes in the middle of an emergency, the helmet will just fly right off.
Not going to do you much good in that point, is it?
Do you want to hear the other 3? I'm very big on safety gear, but the other 3, and I'll be brief about these. The other 2 items that I think are really super important is don't assume that everybody sees you. I think the number 1 reason for motorcycle collisions with cars, buses, trucks is that the operator of the car, bus, or truck does not see the motorcyclist. Therefore, when the motorcyclist suddenly appears, they're violating that that drivers, operators, expectations. So the best thing you can do is sometimes to act like you're invisible, but always, always give yourself a margin of error. Don't count on the drivers of trucks or buses or cars to give you their margin of error. You make sure you have a margin of error, and that way you've got a little bit of extra wiggle room. For instance, if you're riding on the freeway, there's no reason to ride in that part of the lane closest to a semi and right along the trailer where that semi driver may not be able to see you.
Right.
Give yourself some cushion and assume that they may not see you. The flip side of that is wear things that help you get seen. Nowadays, all motorcycles, when you turn the key, the light comes on. That's important. I like loud pipes. There's a debate about that. As far as I'm concerned, I think loud pipes save lives, but be conspicuous. Don't violate the other driver's expectations, and make sure you're visible, audible, and that you don't make surprise moves.
And
Number three.
Number three.
I know it's a lot. It should have been a 2-minute answer for the whole thing. Number 3 is don't override the road, and don't override your bike. These go hand in hand. Too many times motorcyclists crash because they're just hanging it out there too much. On the road, we've got gravel. You've got a delivery truck around a blind turn. You've got decreasing radius turns. You've got somebody just inadvertently not paying attention or distracted just slightly on your side of the road. Give yourself an extra margin. Don't override. If you want to go out and hang it out there and ride it as fast as you can, buy a track day. There's plenty of companies that do that. On the street, always dial back the intensity of your ride.
Let's talk about, let's say a rider is in a collision, in an accident, they're injured, and they think that maybe they made some sort of mistake that may have led to the accident. In California, can they still have a case? Could they still have a claim? Should they still call someone like you?
Of course, they have a claim. If there is any element of negligence on the other party's behalf, a motorcyclist or any motorist or any pedestrian has the right to bring a claim. It's called comparative negligence. And in California, we have what's called pure comparative negligence. And so the jury at the end of the trial assesses whether it is the other person's fault, and then they assess whether it's also the motorcyclist's fault. And then the judge does the math in reducing the damages. But the important thing is they're always going to try to blame a motorcyclist. And so in many of our motorcycle cases, the verdicts are reduced a bit because of comparative negligence. That doesn't mean you should give up. And where you really shouldn't give up is where the police officer lays the blame on the biker. I see the biker getting blamed for almost every crash in almost every police report, and some of the best verdicts we've had and some of the best settlements we've had have been when the police report is dead against us. Don't buy into that. The police are not the judge and jury. Only a judge and a jury can pass judgment on you and your conduct. Don't give up when you've got a bad police report. Have somebody qualified, like our office. We understand writing.
That police report is not even going to be a part of the case, right? It's part of the civil case, right?
Well, some aspects of the police report will be a part of the case. When the police officer measured out tire friction marks or scrape marks or where the vehicles came to rest, those things are admissible, assuming there's a foundation laid by the police officer. A statement against interest by a party. If the other driver admits it's his fault, and the police officer writes that down and then later changes their tune, well, you can use that statement against them as long as the officer provides the foundation. So some things are, but the officer's opinions and conclusions are not admissible. That's very important. So you read that police report, don't just buy everything they're saying.
Right.
Go to a qualified professional, a lawyer's office that handles motorcycle cases, so they can help you evaluate what your choices really were and what the other driver did wrong.
As usual, very enlightening. Claude, thank you for spending some time with us, answering our questions today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Rob. It's always a pleasure. I'd be here every week if you guys would have me.
Of course we'd have you. That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been San Francisco attorney Claude Wyle. Remember, if you want the best information or you want to be able to choose a lawyer that lawyers choose, go over to askthelawyer.com. Also, please take a second to subscribe by hitting that button down below. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com.